Staff members of Lime have voted out their union, the National Workers Union, for what they say is ineffective representation over the years. The shop steward of Lime, David Stewart, says members are now making plans to meet with other unions on the island to make a decision on the way forward.
Staff here at Lime have been complaining. They have not been getting effective representation. So basically we had some contracts we had some agreements to finish sign off with the company, and that was done sometime earlier on this year. That was an agreement that should have been signed since, 2 years ago. So we just basically signed it off, and in that regard, the staff at Lime requested, in fact, an individual went across and he said that he's not in agreement with the union that we have and he'd like to change it. So therefore, we had to follow the due process, and in doing that, we had to go to the Ministry of Labour for that, or the Labour Commissioner. And today marked a history that for the first time in a long time, Lime workers are now officially off from NWU. So we are going to be asking the two or three other unions to come in to speak to us so that we can have official representation from them, and we want effective representation, something that the staff will be happy about. Some of the matters were pending for far too long. In trying to conclude an agreement, you'd find that sometimes some people maybe were on leave, but it took far too long to conclude some.
He said staff was not happy with certain procedures that were followed.
Basically, when you're being laid off, the union is supposed to be informed, and you're supposed to be called in with your union rep and the President General, but sometimes that wasn't done. Staff have not been happy. They have been asking us as the shop steward to please help them out, and so we really had to go and find a way to get rid of the union. I myself could not partake in, really, because I am the shop steward, so I could not partake in trying to get rid of the union. But we had, as I say, some of the staff members, the one in particular who wrote to the minister, to the Minister of Labour, and asking him that we conduct a poll at the company. Well, in that regard, we're going to formally write to them and engage them in coming to speak to us, because we want to see what plans and programs that they have for the staff here. Not only that, we want a union that has, would have steps in place for in case somebody is not there, that you have effective representation. We want a union, because some unions, you basically only have one person at the helm. In case of something, you can't really count on them putting somebody up forward. So we want a union that has procedures, has steps, there's a pattern, there's a policy. If something happens to one of them, there's somebody that is on the next level that you can pick up and say, okay, that is the next president, that is the one that's going to handle the mantle of the union. So I believe we are all smart people at the company, and we require, at this time, smart representation, something that is in the 21st century.
And as the shop steward of Lime, David Stewart, meantime President of the National Workers Union, Rollins Jemmett, says he will respond when he's made aware of the matter. In more news tonight, the Minister of Local Government Affairs will now have to decide on a new mayor for Portsmouth. The mayor's seat became vacant following the resignation of Errol Hill last month. District Development Officer for the North is Steve Joseph.
The vacancy was created as a result of the resignation of the mayor of Portsmouth, and that took effect on June 1st. The council then proceeded to meet on June 2nd to elect a mayor according to the law. The council met about 6:30, and all councillors were in attendance, all 13 councillors. And the meeting voted twice to select a mayor, and in each case, the votes were 6-6, and one abstention in the first case, and one spoiled ballot in the second case. So, given that tie, a mayor could not be declared, or a chairman could not be declared. The law also makes allowance for the council to forward requests to the minister for her to select the mayor or the chairman. And that is where the process is at. The council is now in the process of engaging the minister responsible for local government, who will then take the process from there. The option, however, is that she may decide, or she may want to refer it back to the council. So that's where we are at this time.
And how long will the minister have before she selects?
Well, there is no stipulated time given the minister in the law. So as soon as she gets the letter, I guess she will begin to act on the request.
And as District Development Officer for the North, Steve Joseph. A strategy plan for the next 3 to 5 years for the Public Service Union is among matters to be discussed when the union meets at its 5th Biennial Delegates Conference on June 10th. The conference will be held under the theme Uniting for Survival and Prosperity. General Secretary of the Public Service Union, Thomas Slater, says a new executive for the union will also be elected at the conference.
Some of the highlights of the program will be the executive report for the 2 years. We will highlight some of the successes of the union during these past 2 years. We'll also be having election for a new executive to serve for the next 2 years, and some former executive members of the union, and those who have served the union well will be honored on that day. A total of 4 people will be honored for their contribution to the union over the years. Another highlight will be the possible amendment to the Constitution, which will allow members who have retired, who are no longer employed, or to continue paying their full subscription. It will allow them to enjoy all the rights and privileges like all other members, including the right of holding or the opportunity to hold position on the executive. That itself will allow for a structure within the PSU comprising of pensioners or retirees. We are hoping to, following our discussions, that we will, when we are reviewing the conference itself, that we will take all the suggestions, all the recommendations coming from the members into consideration, and that will help us to develop a strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years. So these are some of the highlights of the conference.
General Secretary of the Public Service Union, Thomas Slater. The Dominica National Council on Women says it is deeply saddened and concerned about the recent UNICEF report which revealed an increase in sexual abuse against girls and young boys. President of the DNCW, Josephine Dublin Prince, says the information of the abuse on young boys and by women is alarming. Mrs. Prince is calling on all parties to ensure that these inhumane acts against young persons are dealt with.
Most alarming is the fact that the victims are adults whom the perpetrators are adults whom the victims knows. The adults who through their action have psychologically and emotionally affected the lives and future of the adolescent boys and girls. The Dominica National Council of Women condemn this inhuman act against young boys and girls and call for the perpetrators to be dealt with severely with the full strength of the law. Every child has the right to live a life free from domestic violence, to include sexual violence. Therefore, we are calling on all concerned parties, the parents, the communities, the social services, the police, the school, to take note and to work towards further discussion on the matter to find ways to rid our communities of such inhuman acts and to assist the victims through therapy or counseling, and to have community discussions using the media to discuss such issues.
And that's President of the DNCW, Josephine Dublin Prince.